good afternoon on what is a chilly, overcast, grey day. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of November, back in the Reading Nook for the moment, what is one final time with something for Free RPG Day 2021. I am, of course, accompanied by the cat, who is not ours, and a nice hot cup of tea. Now, Free RPG Day in 2021 took place on Saturday, 16th of October, and I do hope you're able to get along to a friendly local gaming store that was participating, because there was lots of titles on offer and some really interesting ones as well. And even if you don't have a friendly local gaming store, I hope you've got a friendly gaming store from which you can patronise via mail order. And I say that because one of those, for me, is Fanboy 3 in Manchester, and I mentioned that one specifically because without David Salisbury there and the staff at Fanboy 3, I would not have this to unbox or review. It's very kindly put all this together and provided with me with copies to do the videos and then do the subsequent reviews. You can check my blog for reviews of these titles as I get through them week by week. I say this is the final one for the moment. There are 2 or 3 titles I don't yet have. Root, the new kickstart for the Root role-playing game, and the 2 titles from Goodman Games, because they didn't make it to the boxes for the international market in time, for which I know a number of gamers here in the country are disconsolate, shall we say. So what we're going to look at is Level 1 Volume 2. It is Free RPG Day Indie RPG Anthology. The indie RPG scene is a diverse, fascinating and vibrant part of the tabletop role-playing community. Ninth Level Games has once again brought together a few choice games from the world of the Indian RPGs for Free RPG Day 2021. Some of the games inside are silly and some are serious. Some can be played solo and others meant for a table. Some use dice and one uses tarot card. What they all have in common is a unique and interesting take on the hobby that we all love, role-playing. Yes, I had to have a quick stare at this because essentially just couldn't read that text because of the moon they put over that. Just a little bit difficult to read that. Okay. Inside you will find ready-to-play games about wild animals at a drag show, ancient spectres haunting an necropolis, building cities out of dice, emotional robots, half-orc adulthood rites, facial reconstruction for veterans, vampire masquerade balls, weird cult initiations, power brokers across the many eras of a city, fairies trying to escape the wild hunt, bumbling villains against comic book do-gooders, mythical crones facing mundane life, and even a game about taking a pleasant walk with friends. And there is even a game about that jerk Todd. Welcome to Level 1. Now, this is the second one they've done. So they did Level 0 last year. No, it was a mix of games, good and bad, but all of them interesting. And what really sets apart, essentially, really is the indie role-playing scene has kind of developed out of sort of like the storytelling movement that arose during the noughties, typified by games like Fiasco. So the indie game scene essentially are self-creators, self-designers and self-publishers. And on the whole, they do not produce what you would regard as commercially viable products, in the sense that they wouldn't sell enough to enter distribution. Okay, online, direct sales, fine, different matter. But it's generally what that means is it's generally small games dealing with less commercial subjects that there are again. Don't get me wrong, definitely interesting, just not necessarily of interest to the broader role-playing hobby. So if you generally you want to play Dungeons and Dragons all the time, or other commercial games, then you may not want to look at independent games. I'm saying you don't have to. I'm not saying that you are obliged not to, but it's generally people like what they like. So what have we got in here? And like I say, this is probably the thickest of all the titles. because it's over 80 pages long, and at the end of it, what have we got? There's an advert. Okay, so for example, you can be part of this. If you've got an indie game, you can submit it for the next issue, but that's going to be in by January 2022. So, and then here we have a list of the people involved, essentially with level 1. Let's have a look. Okay, and as I think basically there's an audience and tone warning in here, so kid friendly, all audiences, 13 plus and mature audiences. That kind of thing's useful, of course, because you look at a game, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if he'll like it or she'll like it, and working out whether or not it's necessary for them, because not everyone wants to deal with adult things in their games, or they don't want to play a game that's kid friendly. So you can tailor it to your group. So your advice on here being safe, be safe, have fun. Again, that sort of thing that's been repeated again and again, but it's worth repeating. It is worth repeating. So, and of course the use of the X card as well. So let's get into the first game, Ball of the Wild, and okay. So what we have is indication of what it's about. It's cozy, wild, fun, 2 to 8 players, adult audience, essentially, and it's about the Ball of the Wild. The animal queendom meets the legendary animal masquerade known as the Ball of the Wild. Essentially, you play as animals who dress up as another animal. So essentially, you have effectively cross-dressing animals, in the sense that not the cross-dressing we think of, but putting on essentially the equivalent of another animal's skin, as it were. And essentially it's about building your legend and establishing a role and style and challenges that you might face during the event. And then we're basically dealing with the after party. And basically also to enforce the fact that this really is connected to the storytelling scene, we have an actual advert for the latest second edition of Fiasco. And if you've never played Fiasco, you absolutely should. It's a game about heists that go wrong, and everybody essentially shares a sort of like a number of locations and relationships and wants and needs and objects and so on. And that drives the story, and then it gets twisted. And the best thing is, the easiest way to sum the Fiasco up is, this is the Coen Brothers role-playing game. What else we've got here? Once this land was ours. And this, I think this is about building the city via dice. I would say, my first my comment would be, it doesn't actually tell you what it's about straight up, and I think it should. Another thing you'll note is that every author in here basically got a quick biography and links to their content. I think that's a nice touch, especially if you've got there will be presumably going to be a PDF version of this booklet, so it's easier to connect to. And the next one we have Tiny Tusks. It's a role playing about half orcs come together, talk about themselves and their families. That'll be interesting. There'll be a number of games, sort of particularly about orcs. Like John Wick's Orc World, and then there is the Orc role-playing game from Green Ronin Publishing, which got a second edition right before lockdown, actually. So I've never seen a copy. A friend of mine actually has a copy of it. I've not seen him since lockdown, since before lockdown. So, and then basically we've got Let's Wear Masks or Hide from Human, a quick vampiric game for 2 players. So again, there's lots of different games in here. Essentially, for a different number of players, and this is a 2-player game. Fairies on the Run. This is the rules-light role-playing game of fairy horror, involve action, and it's serious and on the run from the wild. So I guess we've got. I've got an advert for a couple of. This is for Drive-Thru RPG, and just some of the things on here. So basically for different audiences. Hero Kids for basic playing with your family. Tiny Dungeon, really simple, basic dungeoneering style fantasy role playing game. And Mask is a good superhero role playing game about playing teenage superheroes and dealing with the drives and problems that they face. Heavy as the Mask is essentially doesn't again. I'm trying what this is about. Basically, it's about power and masks in a city and controlling the city, but basically, I think through controlling anonymity. Again, not quite clear. Yellow King here at Role Playing Game for Pelgrim Press. So then we have Getting Away With It. And essentially, it's taking on the role of loosely affiliated supervillains in a long-term struggle against a League of Heroes. Enact plots and schemes to overcome the meddling do-gooders and complete your master plan. Nice twist upon essentially the classic superhero game. And the thing is, in general, role-playing games don't deal really with the villain side of it, because essentially it's playing evil, and you don't and it's not generally, the tone of it's not encouraged. There are role-playing games that some role-playing games that sort of deal with that with you, but on the whole, it's about role-playing games tend to be a bit more positive, even in dark settings. Storytelling role-playing games are more limited and have scope. Generally have the scope to explore this kind of story. And it is it's as I say, it's less commercial. Then Friends on a Walk, again, that's basically you going for a walk and what happens on it. Restoration is about essentially dealing with the consequences of a war. We Are the Order. Again, there's a whole thing about running, another thematic about the Order and masks and controlling things, like the previous game in here. So again, this is all first impressions. I'm just looking at this and just getting a general impression. So the one problem is it doesn't immediately say, what is this game about? That's the one thing it doesn't do on here, and I can't just go, so I've got to dig a little deeper. And The Ascent of Todd is that role-playing game with The Promised, which is about Todd, who, as it says on the back cover, is a jerk. That's probably dealing with him. I've got a couple of role-playing games. Interestingly, Zhang Shi there is an interesting one about running a Chinese restaurant and at the same time dealing with Chinese ghosts. I'm looking forward to that coming out. And then we have essentially Death Mask was a revenant granted a new life, unlife, and bound to protect an endless tomb city. And again, thematically, that's the third game to deal with masks. So this is presumably level 1, the masks issue. Then Chaos Cafe, and essentially Chaos Cafe is running a coffee shop down a cozy side street, away from the neon glamour of the city. In your mind, you're a regular person with family, friends, hopes, dreams, and a day job. You're incapable of realising the truth. You're a cheaply made, malfunctioning robot in a world gone haywire, among whose creators disappeared long ago. And obviously dealing with the consequences and following through on your programming and so on. Then we have Coven of Crones, which is basically the mythical crones living in the real world. And that's the last one. Believe it or not, we actually have a RPG products from essentially a couple of adverts there, including what's interesting is Onward Beasts of Yore. That's really Quests of Yore, sorry. That's the first role, which is based upon the Pixar film. And that should be interesting to look at some point. So that's level 1. from 9th level games, an anthology of mini games in role playing. Again, obviously these need a quick read through, but I presume they're going to be fairly easy to bring to the table and play. And you're going to get a lot of game. You're probably going to basically you've got about let's have a look. How many games you've got in here? Does it say? Does it have a list at the front? Let's have a look. And it doesn't. That's really annoying. But what, 10 games in there, something like that, I'd guess. And each one you're going to get a session out of each one. I would suggest, and that's going to give good value for money. I would have thought, And the thing is, storytelling games means essentially they can be played again. And they can be played, give different responses in different situations. So it is possible to play these again with different groups. So again, plenty of play to be got out of this little booklet. So thank you once again for watching another unboxing overview in the Nook. Appreciate you taking the time to do so, and I appreciate you taking the time to post comments on down below if you did. If you liked what you've just watched, then please do click the like button. And of course, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings or overviews here in the Nook, where you will see me with something from Free RPG Day. Hopefully, again, I forget the titles I'm missing, or something which I've received in the post, and I'm going to unbox and then talk about it to the best extent of my knowledge for 10 minutes or so, all accompanied, of course, by a nice hot cup of tea. And sometimes by the cat who is not ours, sometimes not, then please do hit that subscribe button. So finally, thanks again for watching. For the moment, this is the last Free RPG Day title review that I'm going to do. I've just got it in as the light is dimming. I'll be back again tomorrow with another normal unboxing video. I'll be back again at some point with more Free RPG Day titles, either hopefully not next year, but hopefully soon, if I can get hold of the titles available on the day that I missed. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.